conference, which the feedback has been fantastic and continues to be, depending on when you're looking at this. The bottom line is, though, Melinda Connor, who you heard, if you were attending, and I suspect you were, the event, you heard her discuss at length the blood study that's been executed with data that's highly shows where there's no question, basically, that we elevate GHK. The proof is there. And as Melinda talked about, some of the great things that means for the body. And so I've asked Melinda to join me in another webinar to talk about another study that's talking about what we do to metabolism and what the implications are there. So first of all, Melinda, please join me and welcome to this bonus content as you and I can kick a few things around. How are you, Melinda?
I am great. How are you today, sir?
I'm terrific, and I just want to compliment you on a great job you did during the event, and appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a great fan of LifeWave. You've done a number of studies for David, haven't you?
Yes, I actually started doing studies for David in 2010 and have done them on and off now for many, many years. It's a treat. In applied science, many times you have to take the job that pays the bills. And with LifeWave, I get to take the job with a product that I have seen repeatedly do what they say it does. And that makes a huge difference.
I remember back in January of 2020 when you were a guest speaker for us at our Las Vegas event. And you did talk about the fact that you have been consistently impressed by the technology. And so you've been, I guess the way to put it is a fan, but as a research scientist, you really respect the science, don't you?
It's very interesting. David has made a tremendous commitment to doing very, very high quality science and doing it with outstanding people all over the country. Oh gosh, you've had, for example, who's one of the cutting edge physics and science and alt med groups. It's amazing to see the commitment from a sales perspective, even to this product grouping that is just powerful in what it can do for people.
Yeah. And, before we go any further, before we get into this metabolism study, give folks, when I look at your 3-page or 3.5-page CV, folks, Melinda's kind of been there, done that in the world of research and development, the whole world of being a scientist. Give us a sense, Melinda, if you were to kind of, in layman's terms, talk about the kind of things you're known for, some of your accomplishments. This is not about tooting your own horn. Just give people a sense of who you are.
This is always the part that I get embarrassed at. I'm trained as a clinical psychologist. I'm trained as a neuropsychologist. I was fortunate that I got selected by the National Institutes of Health to be the first non-MD to be in an integrative medicine training program. And so I had extraordinary training in how to do research to National Institutes of Health standards. Spent 3 years in absolute joy doing research and studying the whole process. And then I was able to work for a number of universities, and eventually I've gone out on my own and doing applied research with my own laboratory.
So, and I know you hold a number of degrees and you've spoken at conferences throughout the world. Someone mentioned you picked up an award of Scientist of the Year for, what was that again?
Yes, I was very gratified. The World Qigong Congress, which broadcasts to over 30 countries, gave me the award of Scientist of the Year for some work that I had been doing, in part this phototherapy work, and in part looking just at the energetics of how the body works. And the California State Legislative Assembly gave me a recognition for the work that I had been doing as part of that process. So it was actually really cool, and it was kind of a follow-on, because my mother-in-law had received it for her concert pianist work in the state of California. My stepfather-in-law had received it for his work on water management around the world. He was part of the Foreign Service, and then I'm following in that tradition. So it was kind of exciting.
Well, congratulations to you for all that you've accomplished. So let's jump into it. Now, I know that you, if I'm not mistaken, did this metabolism study during 2020, if I'm not correct. To let me know that. And in fact, this is going to be published. So we have to be careful about some of the types of things you're able to share with us, right? Because you don't want to step on the fact that it's going to be published, and that's part of the process. But where would you like to begin? How would you like to talk about it? And what are the implications of what you discovered through your studies?
I think the most important thing that we discovered is that the X39 patches, because they're tuned to GHK and GHKCU, reset the gut. They take the amino acids, they take the ones that are out of balance, they tune them back up, and they streamline the process so your amino acids and your proteins get made the way they did back when you were in your 20s, instead of where you are in your 60s or your 70s or your 80s.
Well, how do you know that? So stop right there. So how do you know that? So this is something that you detect comparatives between urine blood analysis and then you do it after, and you can say, well, wait a second, this looks older and this looks younger. How do you do that?
We actually do that exactly that way, through urine and blood analysis. And in this case, we focused on the urine, and we did what's called a free amino acid testing. And so we take urine samples at specified times of day. Each sample is done at the same time of day for that particular person. And we do them on day 1 and day 2 and day 7. And we see how it changes, what the actual process is. Is there a leveling out? Does something go high? Does something go low? If they're low to start, are they coming back up to where they need to be? And that was the most exciting part. These are really, really small molecules, but they're critical to your body. And to have that process that's down to low start coming back up and watch it come back up in a week, that is so fast. If you were ordinarily trying to do things with diet, you would plan on 3 months or 6 months for most people. And it's hard for people a lot of the time to change their diet. It's just, you get in a habit pattern, you're running around, you're busy, you're doing the fast food thing, you know. Yeah. Maybe you've thrown a patch on, maybe you haven't. But, you know, having that patch right there is going to make a change within 24 hours. Within 24 hours, within 7 days, those amino acids are coming right back up. And they're coming back up to optimum level where they need to be to make your body the healthiest it can be.
So you talk about, you're talking about gut health. I think but you know, okay, so that's my stomach, that's my digestive system, that type of thing. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And yet I would imagine there's a broader implication in terms of how this ripples forward in terms of other things that either you discovered or related to what you just described. How would you respond to that?
GHK and GHKCU are extraordinary peptides. They reset your genes. So genes can get broken down over time as you age. The ends of your chromosomes break off, or a chromosome will damage because you've had the wrong kind of food or light or environmental toxins, things like that. GHK and GHKCU go back and they reset them. They set them all back up. Those amino acids from the metabolism are helping make that happen, because they're making the building blocks of that GHK, the alanine, the lysine, the guanine, that it's important that all of those things be there and be in good shape. So in addition to that, they trigger stem cells. Now, we've talked some about that in the other presentation, but critical to the body is the ability to keep it going and to keep it at its maximum and its most healthy. And so when you trigger the stem cell, you trigger repair, and you trigger repair at a very, very fundamental level. So instead of having just a little bit fix, you have a whole lot fix. Makes a huge difference.
So the fact is, as that occurs, what you describe as it occurs, I'm going through life. I'm sleeping, I'm getting up, I'm exercising, I'm eating, I'm doing my thing, right? The fact that X39 has that type of impact as you describe, is that part of the reason why I notice that I seem to sleep better? Is that part of the reason why I notice why I seem to have more energy? You know, talk about what you described and what that really does to impact our day-to-day life. Bring it down to the layman. Why should he or she care?
We actually look directly at sleep, and your sleep improves. Within a week, your sleep improves. That's very, very, very fast. And especially in my age group, I have reached to be old enough to know the best things in life stage. When you hit that point, you don't sleep as much. But with X39, you do, and you can. And that means you convert memory better. That means that you organize better. That means your brain is getting more oxygen appropriately. All of these things are really, really important. And your overall musculature is going to be better. Your joints are going to be better. You're going to be less achy because the raw nutrition is there and the organization to do the repairing is there. Makes a huge difference across the board.
Interesting. You know, there's obviously several ways we talk about what X39 does. I'm reading something here. I've got X39 gently stimulates points on the skin using light to help maintain the natural flow of energy throughout the body, to help sustain the body's natural healing process that's tied to a healthy and essential stem cell activity. Is that a good, clean, clear way to talk about what's going on here? And how would you dissect that a little bit?
X39 rocks.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. It does something really extraordinary. It takes light, it charges electrical currents that run over the surface of the body. That's called electrodermal skin current, you know? But it charges those currents up and it makes them lively. And when it makes them lively, your body can clear toxins better, your body rebalances itself better, your body stimulates that stem cell production. It rocks.
Amazing stuff. So I don't mean to stop you from further descriptions of what else you've learned through this metabolism study. Have we kind of said it, or is there more to it that you'd want to describe here and now?
I think the most extraordinary thing that happens with this study in the resetting of the gut, in the changes of the genes, in the stimulation of the stem cells, is the fact that people who are feeling achy and tired and their age don't feel it anymore. And all the science is lovely, but when it comes down to you, the person, you have to feel the change. And if you're not feeling the change, it isn't of any value. Well, I haven't had any subject that we've worked with in the single blinds where I know that they're getting the actual patch not say that they weren't feeling something different and were excited about it. In the double blinds, I'm kept completely blind, and we actually do it in a really cool way. We take the data, we send the data for processing, and a completely different lab does the processing. They don't know who's in which. We don't know which one is the active and which one is the control. Then they send me back the statistics. I send the statistics out. The analysis is done. The statistical person, Dr. Jens Eckhoff, doesn't know. He just knows who's in which group. He doesn't know if they're active. He doesn't know if they're control. He doesn't know. Then he sends me back the David, and then I go to David and say, okay, it looks like it's this group. Did we get it right? And then we get to find out. Very often that's a full year that we don't know what the data is going to show us. And it's really cool.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? You know, people want to know, they want to be able to trust that the studies that we release, certainly the studies that are published, are legitimate, credible, based on an appropriate, what is the word, abstract, here's what we intend to do, here's the goal, here's what the outcome should be, right? Hypotheses and all these types of things. The net is you go through what you just described, double blind. You don't know what's going on. And the folks that you send the data to don't know what's going on. That's what I love, is the fact that means that our members can speak with confidence when they look at a study such as this to realize, okay, we talk about what the patch does, and people anecdotally tell us what they feel, but here's why, here's the data, here's what's important, here's what scientists care about, right? You don't care about anecdotal. You want to see the science, and the science is a perfect underpinning to what people are experiencing, correct?
That's correct. What we look for are p-values, which basically means it's significant. And we are so fortunate. Those laboratories have tremendous integrity. They're very careful in their work. The people that are involved in the process, you're talking about people with alphabet soup after their names. You look at them and they put in 20 years before they get to that point. And it's really powerful when you have independent people like this corroborating the data and making it really clear that this is really accurate.
And it's interesting, of course, we're in the general wellness space, right? And we are a very simple product in one sense. It's completely safe. You just slap it on and watch what happens, right? I mean, that's part of the genius, I think, to what folks have in their hand that they're willing to share with others. Of course, you don't get involved with any of that. You just provide us with the backup information so we can speak with confidence about what these products, and certainly we're discussing here what X39 is really designed to do. Is there anything else about this study in particular that you'd want to enlighten us about, or anything in general you'd like to leave us with relative to the LIFEWAVE technology?
Two things. First off, I want to say thank you. They may or may not hear it, but a lot of the people who've been engaged in our studies go on and start to become LIFEWAVE distributors because they're so impressed with the products. So for those that are out there, I want to say thank you for being research subjects, for committing your time. These folks drive, some of them an hour to come in, be here for 30 minutes while we draw bloods multiple days and things like that. They're very committed to the process and supporting whole person health, which is very beautiful. And I want to thank you, because without the organization to support this kind of research into how light works would not happen. And this is absolutely cutting edge technology, how the body absorbs and uses light to change the body. It's cutting edge technology. So while it's a wellness product, what you're doing is changing the world. You're changing the perception of science, you're changing the health of people, and you're creating value across the board.
I have to ask, and I have to mention, I think you should comment on this whole dynamic where someone listening here might say, wait a second, boy, she's really sold on this technology. Boy, she really likes it. I wonder if she's being financially remunerated. Does she have a financial interest in talking about this in this manner? Because, it's easy to say, well, wait a second, LIFEWAVE paid for this. She's kind of on the payroll in that sense. So how can I believe what she's saying? How do you respond to that?
First off, LIFEWAVE is not my only client. I do studies for all sorts of different people. And actually, we're getting ready to put up a new website, and they can see the range of studies that I've done. We just had a wonderful study published in Explore of 14 years of research looking at energy practitioners. So I do a lot of different kinds of research. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I'm not allowed to even have the product. I can't sell it. I can't distribute it. I don't wear it. I get to look and lust. And after 10 years, what I found is that if David comes to me with a product and says, will you test this? And he doesn't test everything, he'll check things in process. He'll see if it's working. He'll take it back and go to work back on things over the course of the last 10 years. So it isn't, I've come up with something, go for it, and it's perfect. That isn't what happens. But what does happen is over a period of time, you learn that the people that you're working with are competent and innovative and careful in how they look at things and evaluate critically. So no, I do things by contract. I get paid for the particular job. That's it. They might never come back again. Hopefully they will. But no, you're not my only customer, and I don't get to sell or distribute the product.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to address that, because some people do bring that up from time to time. And so there it is. Thank you for that. Okay. Well, look, Melinda, honored to spend some time with you. I so respect all that you've accomplished. You're clearly a scientist in that sense. I know you and David have had long conversations into the night as you both have commiserated on.
Pick a country, any country.
Right. It is interesting as we all deal with this whole COVID dynamic, right? And what's going on with vaccines and what should we believe? How do we trust? And I know that, the great news is that David is being very careful about how he wants to educate our members and our distribution network across the world about what to anticipate with COVID, things like that. So anyway, I know that you've helped inform him on some of the aspects of that, and we're grateful for your knowledge and your understanding about how the pieces fit together, what the body really needs to function well, and really just appreciate your time today, Melinda. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Have a beautiful day.
You as well. All right, folks. Well, there you go. There's Melinda Connor talking about this latest study and a few other things along the way. Gives you a sense of what LifeWave's all about as we continue to build a portfolio of clinical studies that allow us to talk about this technology in a forthright, direct way, because we know anecdotally how powerful X39 is. Well, now there's just one more study that is going to be published. So we'll, of course, let you know when that date occurs and when that is available for you to just, go view and see it just like we will. So thanks very much for your time. And we look forward to seeing you on down the line. I'm Jim Caldwell, your VP